it's Thoreau. And then for this project, I'm the site manager.
And tell me what this project is that you're working on right now.
So right now we have 13 schools working together, so 13 social workers, all that feed into West High School. And we created a grocery delivery for families after we all had school closed when the pandemic started. So
Wow.
yeah, so we're continuing through fall because kids are missing about 2 meals a day if they relied on school meals. So we're serving families once a week as we continue with school being closed.
How does your heart feel about operating and doing something like this?
Well, I feel there definitely needs to be more done for families. This grocery delivery is definitely helping a lot of families. I feel like we could even do more. So right now we're serving around 400 families and 1,000 students on the west side, and there's still families who need help and there's still families who need support. So we're really trying to figure out how to help even more.
You've got to just feel, as a social worker, your heart is so big and you want to do so much for these students, and you know that they are really at risk at this time. If you didn't step up, then who would? I'm sure that that's kind of how you feel. So you feel like you're probably making a sizable difference in their lives right now.
Really, the community is. I've been like really surprised and really, my heart is like filled with community because right away, our social worker stepped up, and that's our role. We're used to stepping up for families, but we have over 300 volunteers signed up. We have multiple organizations donating to us, multiple farmers donating to us, and so it's really a community effort here.
Amazing. Talk to me a little bit about, the effort also, along these lines, because I'm going to use what you're doing here as a segue to branch into the story about the concern that you have for kids being at risk for not receiving technology that they need right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just as they are, hungry for food, they're hungry for internet access, right? And I mean, that's got to be something that probably keeps you up at night too, knowing that it's been a struggle, even in Madison, for everyone to get what they need. Talk to me a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So, as you know, public education, when a family walks into the building, there's multiple services and resources provided for students. Students had access to internet in the building. Students had food, access to free food in the building. And now that the building has shut down, we're seeing issues, pockets in neighborhoods where families never had internet, families owed a bill and didn't have internet. And so the access is really the concerns of social workers right now. Access to food, access to education through internet. And so how are we providing access for everyone? Every single family deserves access to the resources that they deserve.
I saw a picture, it made me cry. I'm sure you probably may have seen it too, of the kids at Taco Bell. Are you hearing of similar plights in your community? Is Madison? Is that going on here too?
Oh yeah, definitely. I have, families in McDonald's parking lots. I have families in public library parking lots, and that's what some of the answers were for families, is go into a parking lot. And that's why we're doing this delivery, because not every family has transportation. Not every family has a way to get around it. And also, families shouldn't have to go to libraries to get internet access. Families shouldn't have to go to McDonald's or a fast food restaurant to get internet access. They deserve it in the place that they live, the place that they stay.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, they do deserve these things, and that's got to be just overwhelming to you, right? I mean, when you hear that they're in McDonald's and you're just like, no, that's not a very good place to be doing your homework. Like, it's not the right fit. But it's like trying to get these services to them. But that's the other thing. These services are available. It's just trying to target and get these families to realize that they can get these services in many cases, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a lot of conversations around stigma and how families feel comfortable with specific requesting resources and needs, and it really relies on the relationship of school staff and families. What are they comfortable with, and how can we support them?
That's the big thing. And from your understanding, it's also an issue, I'm sure, with trying to speak like the different languages and language barriers? Are you running into problems with that too, with trying to explain, no, you can, we've got these services for you, we want you to use them, but they just don't realize that it's available?
Yeah, we had a family move 1 week right before the pandemic, moved here 1 week from a different country. They had no idea what internet meant in America. They had no idea how to get on a Chromebook and get access for their families, and there was a language barrier there. So how are we supporting our families to really understand what access means in Madison, how they can get support, and how are we getting them support? Definitely.
Are you surprised by the swath of students that are not getting the services right now?
Yeah, there are still students who don't have internet in their home. There are still families who are looking for support. That's a constant barrier we're seeing, and those are the students we should be focusing on right now. How are we getting them access? How are we getting them to their education?
That's what your heart and soul wants. You want them to have the education. How long have you been a social worker now?
I've been a social worker for 2 years, and before that I ran an after-school program for 4 years in Madison.
Gotcha. So you've been in it for half a decade plus, and right now it's probably the most critical time than ever to make sure that these kids have their needs met.
Yeah, and there's no question, kids want to learn. Kids want to be with their teacher. Kids want access. Also, kids love the internet. Like, that's the new way to teach. Kids love educational games online. So how are we getting them to get that access, to be there? That's what our kids want right now.
And your biggest challenge is just trying to find them, especially with, because they're not coming to school every day. So you've got to go physically to them, which is kind of what you're doing with the delivery.
Exactly. Yeah.
When you make a delivery, do you talk about, internet access at home? Tell me a little bit. Is that kind of the way you open the door, the conversation with them too?
I think relationship is important too. So really getting to know families and really hearing for what they need and what they want. And so this grocery delivery has helped out a lot because we're meeting families where they're at, and we're having like social distance conversations when we drop off our groceries, and really have conversations like, how can we support, what do you need, is really the conversations we're having right now. So I'm really thankful that we started this grocery delivery. It's all about access, but really it's giving us access to talk to our families and support them with what they need.
This is amazing. And it looks like there are hundreds of bags, hundreds of families that you're going to touch and help today. Is that kind of a fair number to say? Well, what does it typically look like at the end of the day?
Yeah, we typically serve about 400 families just that feed into West High School, so the elementary, middle, and high school that feeds here on the west side. And we'll serve around 1,000 students. And in the beginning, it's hustle and bustle. You'll see bags everywhere, you'll see boxes everywhere, you see volunteers pulling up in a little bit. And at the end of the day, when everything's gone, there's no other bags, no other boxes. We're just really excited that families are getting what they need, and we'll get text messages of meals they made from the boxes, and we'll get a bunch of thank yous, and we're just really glad that they're getting what they deserve, which is food.
Absolutely, and an opportunity to talk about more resources
Yeah,
with the social work.
Definitely, yeah.
That's the big thing too. Would you say out of those 400, what would you, ballpark percentage, what would you say would be the number that you would say at this point that probably aren't receiving access to internet and services like that? What would that number be look like if you had to dive into?
Yeah, I think in the beginning of the pandemic, so in March when we shut down, it'd probably almost be 100% of families, and we're with this connection and getting resources and finding the 3-month free internet, to getting hotspots from the district. It's a smaller amount, but there's still a need. So I would still say about 20%. We're still trying to figure out how to get them access to get started next Tuesday.
And I'm so glad you just said that. I was just thinking about the Chromebooks. Chromebooks are a shortage everywhere. Is that an issue too for you guys, or do you have enough? You're just trying to get them to the right families at this point.
Yeah, so in the spring it was a delivery service, just like ours, and so it felt pretty comfortable for families to wait at home for their device, and right now it's a pickup. You need to pick up. So right now you'll be seeing social workers providing new Chromebooks while they're providing grocery delivery. If you look in the back of my trunk, I have about 15 students' Chromebooks to switch them out and to get new ones to our families. So this is definitely another focus right now, and it's a focus. It's urgent because we want students on Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. in their morning meeting with their families, and so that's a really push. I'll be working over this weekend to figure out how to get Chromebooks to families, and so it's definitely a need right now.
Is it I mean, what's going on in your heart right now thinking about that? You've got 15 and you're trying to figure out how to get those out. That's a lot. That's a lot on your mind.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's always good to step back as a social worker and realize like this is my role. When I go home at night, I have lots of privileges, and so I just think about my families. And if this is a stress for me for 1 week, how is it a stress for families daily, weekly, monthly? And so it's a perspective of I'm here to just provide access for my families. That's what my job is.
You're passionate about it.
Thank
For
you.
sure. Oh, Laura, that is